Germany are EuroBasket champions. How Franz Wagner led the way and Dennis Schroder finished the deal today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is September 14th. It will be September 15th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we are celebrating a big win as Germany wins EuroBasket with an exciting victory over Turkey. Came down to the last few possessions, two big shots by Dennis Schroder, a big first half from Franz Wagner and Tristan. We're going to break that game down and what it means as we look ahead to the NBA season with our friend Matt George of Locked On Kings. Dennis Schroder plays for the Kings. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Be part of our Orlando Magic dailies. Listen 5 days a week. Get in the habit now. The season is right around the corner. 2 weeks to training camp. 2 weeks. We're almost there. Get in the habit now. Get ready for the season with us here on Locked On Magic 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends when there's games. All part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. We're going to break down Franz Wagner's role specifically in EuroBasket, kind of wrap up EuroBasket on tomorrow's episode. But today, I hopped on with Matt George of Locked On Kings right after the game ended. We talk about the game itself. We talk about Dennis Schroder, how his role has evolved, and talk about Franz Wagner and his role and how he has evolved and what this all means as we look ahead to the NBA season. Let's get right to it with Matt George of Locked On Kings. And to celebrate EuroBasket, Germany winning the championship once again, we're joined by the new host that gets to talk about Dennis Schroder, Matt George of Locked On Kings, getting his first taste of the Dennis Schroder experience. I know Magic fans have never had it firsthand, but we've watched enough German basketball to know. But obviously, like, crazy game, crazy game, especially that finish. Dennis Schroder stepping up, winning MVP of the tournament with the two humongous shots that put Germany up by 3 late. I want to start here just like absorbing the ending of this game. Like, what were your thoughts as Dennis Schroder was proving himself to be the captain of Team Germany here?
I mean, I thought it was the perfect way for the MVP of the entire tournament to put the final stamp on it, right? And what was crazy is, I mean, he was so fantastic at distributing and getting his teammates involved, right? You finished with 12 assists. So you know that, and of course he's got so many weapons, right? Like Isaac Bonga having a phenomenal game. And of course, as you Magic fans know very well, one Franz Wagner there, who is, I mean, I know Dennis Schroder is the MVP and the de facto leader of this team because he plays that point guard position. But for my money, the most talented player on that team is Franz Wagner. So Dennis has plenty of players to throw the ball to. But when it was winning time in the fourth quarter and you just needed the MVP of the tournament to close things down against Turkey, Dennis was able to do it, right? And yes, from the Sacramento Kings standpoint, we're new to Dennis, right? But we have no problem immediately claiming him a champion as our own. Might be the closest thing. It is the closest thing that the Sacramento Kings are going to get to a championship anytime soon. So what an amazing run by Germany as a whole. It does feel a little extra sweet that it's over Alperen Şengün in Turkey for a couple of reasons. Number one, Jackson Gatlin of the Locked On Rockets podcast. It's always nice to get one up over him. And then number two, Alperen Şengün is often compared to Domantas Sabonis in Sacramento, and Şengün's better. Why would you want Sabonis over Şengün? So that adds a little extra fun and flair to this for Sacramento. But what an incredible tournament. Dennis Schroder was incredible. That German team is scary
Yeah.
for anybody to face.
Yeah, I will, as being the journalist that we are, invitation was issued to Jackson Gatlin, and he decided to sit this one out, just like kind of get the emotion. We love Jackson to death, but I won't lie. I posted the "Don't Ever Question the Heart of a Champion" video. It was nice to put that one over a Rockets player too, because to me that's what stood out about this Germany team. Like us Magic fans have been watching this Germany team for the last 4 summers now. We're all eager for Franz to get a summer off next year. But to me, what always stood out, and this is where I think Dennis is just so vital for that German national team. Like there are certainly some idiosyncrasies that I think people know about Dennis Schroder and why maybe he hasn't had the successful NBA career that he's had in FIBA. But every time Germany was kind of pushed and tested in this tournament, it just never felt like they blinked. It just never felt like they were, bothered by being down to Slovenia or struggling with Portugal in the knockout rounds. The group stage was the group stage, but they always felt like they understood, like, if we keep doing our thing, and trusting each other, we're going to have the spurt that we need to win the game because of the talent that they have, the size that they have, on the wings especially, and because of a player like Schroeder, who I think, for whatever reason in FIBA especially, just rises to that moment. And, again, I agree with you. I think Franz is the most talented player, and we can maybe talk a little bit about impressions of Franz. But the story today is Dennis Schroder, the captain of this team, led this team when Turkey had them on the ropes on several occasions, making those huge shots to win them this tournament and make this monumental victory for the national team.
Yeah, I think one of the tricky things to do with any international competition, be it Olympics or EuroBasket or whatever, is, okay, how does this apply to the NBA? Because it's without question, the NBA is the greatest basketball league in the world. It's not close. However, international basketball has gotten substantially better than the dream teams of old in Team USA's history, which I think a lot of people think about, which, USA just always wins the gold medal and they run over everybody. Like that's just, I look at the amount of international talent that's taken over the NBA.
Let's start with this stat. Germany's margin of victory in this tournament, EuroBasket, was greater than the US in the last 3 Olympics.
Right.
This was like, I don't want to say Germany dominated this tournament, because I don't think that's true. And they had a bit of an easier path. They didn't have to play Giannis in Greece. They didn't have to play Jokic in Serbia. They played Doncic in Slovenia. And Turkey is a very good team, a surprise team that made the final. But this is a juggernaut German team. Like, this is a team that kind of knows how to play this game, and frankly, like, has an athletic level that I think a lot of the other teams in EuroBasket specifically don't have and struggle to match up with.
Yeah, and I saw people undermining Germany for the win over Finland. Like, it's Finland. But, I mean, Lauri Markkanen was absolutely sensational in Finland, coming off of that massive win just to even get there. Like,
yeah,
the international basketball is at a superb level right now, right? And you can just... another example of that is the amount of international talent that's come over to the NBA, and they're just cleaning up on MVP awards, right? So we can't just disregard things. Now, what we can do is try and connect the dots as best we can while recognizing the differences. And in the case of Dennis Schroder, and Philip, you can help me out with this too, right? You see Dennis Schroder recently in the NBA, and he's bounced around the league so much, and he played really, really well for Detroit at the end of last season. The Pistons weren't able to hold on to him. The Kings ended up bringing him in on a 3-year deal. But if you're looking at Dennis Schroder's resume from just the international play for Germany, I mean, we're talking about a Hall of Fame level career, right? So what I'm trying to put together through my limited time of calling Schroder a Sacramento King is how much of that international play can apply, not will, but can apply to the starting point guard and an essential position. You can make an argument that Dennis Schroder will be the glue that makes the Sacramento Kings stick together or not with their DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis led core.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Schroder specifically, like you're right. Like, part of the problem with these international teams is, like, they don't have the depth that, like, certainly the U.S. has. And so you end up having guys who are sort of role players. And again, like, there are obvious all-stars and MVP candidates, but you have guys who are playing bigger roles for the national teams than they might for the regular teams. And so you have to figure out like what can scale up or scale down, or what needs to be scaled the right way. I think with Schroeder's a scorer first. And I think we see that in these games. And we'll talk a little bit about the Franz side of things here in a minute. I would know Magic fans are always very frustrated that this is still Dennis Schroeder's team. He's the captain. He's kind of the torch was passed from Dirk to him. He's kind of carried this team through some really lean years for German basketball where young guys were coming up through the ranks. And now they get Franz. Franz is, probably going to be an all-star this year, especially with the new format. And you're going to have a lot, and you have a lot of other guys coming through the ranks. And so Schroeder is very much the veteran, and everybody defers to him. And there's like this clear pecking order on the German national team, but everything kind of runs through Schroeder. And you'll have games where he makes a lot of mistakes, and like he did in the semifinal against France in the Paris Olympics last year. And then you have games like these where he's just in control of everything. And I think when you look at his NBA career, like he probably shouldn't be your leading scorer. I think we can all agree on that.
He won't be.
And he won't be. But he works really well when he's kind of in control, when you give him some freedom to make those decisions. And I think what was really fun about Schroeder's tournament this year was the first time it really looked like he was trying to make sure others were involved or more involved. Like he wasn't hunting his shots as much. And I think that happened a little bit in the second half of this game on Sunday. But at the end of the day, like he had I think it was a EuroBasket final record 12 assists in this game. He had multiple games where he had these multi-assist game. And so if he could find a way to find that balance again and be this great distributor and still be a threat to be a primary scorer or have a primary scorer's mindset, that could be really beneficial for him. And I think help him grow. And if you look at Schroeder in his career, like ever since he started playing for this German national team, when they got Franz and they started competing for medals, they've looked a lot stronger. He's looked a lot stronger when he comes back to the NBA. Really, the only place he struggled was Golden State. Why would you take the ball out of Stephen Curry's hands at all with another point guard? Like that didn't make sense. Everywhere else, he's had some measure of success, even though he's been bouncing around the league a little bit.
Yeah, Schroeder, if we're talking about the assist numbers and the distribution, right, he had 5 games in the EuroBasket tournament where he had 7 or more assists. 4 of those came in the final 5 games that they played, right, in winning time, which to me is encouraging from the Kings standpoint, because when I'm applying it to Sacramento, and it's very much a core of not, I mean, Schroeder's an important piece, but the core is the LaVine and DeRozan and Sabonis. And especially with LaVine and DeRozan specifically, their best year together in Chicago was when Lonzo Ball was healthy. So when you had a distributing point guard. So as great as the scoring is from Dennis Schroeder, and the Kings will need that and will lean on that from time to time, it's the distribution of Schroeder that I think is very important. And I'm not saying that Schroeder knows that and was playing that way specifically in the EuroBasket tournament to prepare for the NBA. I think he knows how important EuroBasket is by itself and how separate it is. But it was, at least for me, Philip, encouraging to see that side of Schroeder's game. And I'm glad there's a similarity between Magic fans and Kings fans in that sense. Kings fans want to see Schroeder distribute because that's what they need in Sacramento. Magic fans want to see Schroeder contribute because Franz Wagner needs to get his shots. And of course, Wagner had his 18.
Yeah. And let's transition then to the Franz side of things and impressions of Franz Wagner as he makes his mark on the EuroBasket team. Germany gets 2 players on the All-Star 5. We're going to jump into that coming up here in just a moment. Let's take a quick break from the conversation with Matt to tell you a little bit about our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here. The Miami Dolphins fans certainly wish it wasn't. And FanDuel is making sure you're ready to kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Whether you're looking to do a player prop, build a same-game parlay, or even just jump into the live action as it unfolds, FanDuel helps make every game more exciting. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little bit more energy to your Sunday. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5. bet. This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, back here with Matt George, the host of Locked On Kings, recapping Germany's big win to win the gold medal at EuroBasket, Germany's first EuroBasket gold since 1993. First time that the World Cup champion is also the EuroBasket champion, which makes some sense because the U.S. occasionally wins the World Cup. But the first time that they're EuroBasket World Cup double since 2009 when Spain wins. As we all know, basketball is a simple game. There's 5 players to a side, and Spain always wins. That may not be true anymore. Maybe Germany now. They may have taken the mantle as they claim the EuroBasket title. I want to make one more note before we switch over to Franz here about Dennis Schroder before we move on. Because again, he's the MVP, hero of the game. We're going to give him the love. The one thing I would say about Schroder too is he is fearless. Like I think we as a public and as a media and as a fan base, we get a little too into like clutch play. Like I'm not a big proponent of like, oh, it matters that someone has the guts to score in the clutch or all that stuff. Like all 40 minutes of a EuroBasket game, all 48 minutes of an NBA game are important. But when you get into the playoffs and you get into these decisive games, like those shots have a little bit more pressure on them. I'm not going to ignore that they are important. Mm-hmm. And I think Dennis Schroder has proven really throughout his career, but certainly with the national team, that he is unafraid of those moments and he is unafraid to take those big shots. And, again, like I think he is transitioning into a new phase of his career where he's going to be a little bit more of a distributor and a little bit more of that kind of traditional point guard, but that scorer's instinct's never going to go away. And especially in the NBA today, like that's still really valuable.
Yeah, and to kind of put a bow on this too from the Kings perspective, like it's definitely valuable to have guys that are willing and able to take those shots, but I think Schroeder's also looking at the Sacramento Kings and know, okay, I got to kind of get in line because DeMar DeRozan is probably going to be the number one guy to take those shots. He's made a career out of it. Then you have Zach LaVine probably right behind him, who's more than capable of filling it up, especially if that final shot needs to be a 3-pointer. So Dennis will definitely... he will have his number called at some point to come up clutch or have a big clutch. And also, people don't understand too, the clutch doesn't necessarily have to be the final shot, right? Yes. Schroeder can score 3 straight buckets and then DeRozan hits the game winner if that's what it comes down to. So it's always valuable to have those guys. But I would hope that Schroeder recognizes in Sacramento that the distribution is the main thing. Being the point guard is needed.
And look at what he made Daniel Theis look like in this tournament. Like Daniel Theis, like, God love him. Happy that he got his gold medal. They missed Mo Wagner a lot this tournament. They really missed Isaiah Hartenstein a lot this tournament. But and then I say that, but Daniel Theis made that huge three that gave Germany the lead late. Dennis Schroder is an excellent pick and roll point guard too. Like him and Domantas Sabonis are going to be a lot of fun to watch together because Schroder will play off of him and move off the ball and just as much as he'll set Sabonis up with some good passes too. Let's flip over then and talk about Franz Wagner. He ends up with 18 points in this game, really carried the team through the first half of this game, scored 16 of his 18 in the first half. I think he was only 1 for 2 in the second half. It was kind of weird what happened in the second half, but I don't know how much of the whole tournament you ended up watching, but what were your overall impressions of where Franz is at and kind of where he fits into kind of the star landscape in the NBA from watching this tournament?
Yeah, so Philip, I think you remember this, but Franz Wagner is a bit of a sensitive subject for me because I wanted him in Sacramento so bad. And of course, the Magic took him 1 pick before the Kings in the 2021 NBA draft. And I have it on pretty good authority. Granted, that front office is long gone, but I've pretty good indications that the Kings were 100% going to take Franz Wagner if he was there.
There are probably 29 other front offices who would say publicly they would have taken Franz Wagner, including Golden State, who probably should have taken him instead of Jonathan Kuminga a pick before the Magic took him, which is always good to stick it to the Warriors.
Sure. But either way, like it's because of Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero too, big fan of Paolo, but it's because of Franz Wagner that I watch Orlando Magic basketball. And I'd call myself an Orlando Magic, like, quiet supporter. And Franz was in this entire tournament, because I checked in from time to time, of course, mainly watching for Schroder, but Franz was this entire tournament exactly what I believe him to be for the Orlando Magic. I mean, he might not be the guy always in the spotlight, but the way that he carried Germany through the first half of this game when things were struggling, like that is what a star does. And you look at his numbers throughout this tournament: 22 points, 21 points, 24 points, 23 points, 23 points, 22 points. I mean, he is just the steady, consistent, offensively scoring presence that constitutes a star in basketball standpoint. So he might not have had the big moments. He might not end up with the MVP award, but he's standing up there next to Dennis Schroder, right? Not just as a champion, but as part of the star five, the starting five, essentially EuroBasket's all NBA first team, right? Like that's what he's up there for. Like, it's like I said at the very beginning, Dennis Schroder, this might be Dennis Schroder's team. He might be the MVP and might have had closed out this game. But to me, Franz Wagner is without a doubt the most talented basketball player on this German team. And like you talk about translating to the NBA, that's what I believe him to be in Orlando. So if I were a Magic fan, I would, easy for me to say from the Kings perspective, but I would feel just fine about Wagner not getting the final 3 buckets and not winning the MVP award, because if you watched, you knew who was the star of that team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think it's been 3 straight summers. This is the 4th straight summer, I think, of him playing international basketball. And I think there's always this sense of like you're spending your entire summer preparing for these pressure games instead of like working on your game. And look, he had time to work on his game. Like these things happen very late in the summer. Being in these national tournaments is such a big boost for him. And I think it's been a big boost of confidence for him. It was a big boost of confidence for Tristan Silva, who had 13 points in this game, in this championship game, and played really well toward the end. I think what a lot of Magic fans want to see is they want to see the Franz that took over when Paolo Banchero was hurt and wanted to be the guy. And I've always had this, I'm a big believer that like guys have roles and your personality is kind of your personality. And one of the reasons why I think Franz and Paolo work so well together is like Paolo wants the tough shots. Like he's like, I'm going to take the superstar shots that everyone thinks are superstar shots. And I think Franz is willing to take those shots, but it's not like his nature to say like, oh, I'm taking over this game. We need a bucket. Give me the ball. Get out of my way. I'm going to score. He has these moments and he has these spurts, obviously, and he had them in this game as well. But I think Franz is just happy to see the team winning and doing whatever the team needs to win. And, to some extent, like some of it is a leadership thing. Like you want him to be more assertive, to be a leader because he's one of your team's best players. But it's hard to tell Dennis Schroder, who's been like the best, the lone NBA player on the German national team for the last 10, 12 years. Like, hey, it's my team now. That kind of torch thing, that kind of torch, relay has to be done naturally. And it almost looked like it was being done in the first half of this game. Because like you said, again, it doesn't matter when you score the points. All the points count the same to the end of the game. Germany is out of this game. They're down 13-2 right out of the gate. And Turkey was hitting every shot. And Franz scored the first 5 points of the game and kind of settled everyone down a little bit. And just provided that constant drumbeat to get Germany back into this game. And that's really valuable too. And I think a lot of Magic fans wanted to see Franz shoot a little bit better from 3, he was 1 for 5 or 1 for 6 from 3 in this game and had an up and down 3-point shooting. Like he looked better, but didn't look where the Magic want him to be or where he needs to be. But he still did a lot of other things really well in this tournament. He moved the ball really well, ran some point, got them into their offense, was used as a screener a little bit more than I think we've seen him in the NBA. They posted him up a little bit more. I thought he was an excellent rebounder, which he, isn't he rebounds fine, but is not like a dominant rebounder. Franz is perfectly capable and willing to do the little things that help a team win. And at the end of the day, like it's successful because he won the gold and still was all tournament team.
When we come back from this quick break that we have to talk about, I want to respond to something that you said there when you were talking about Franz as kind of being the second fiddle a little bit. And I actually think it's a term of endearment for him. So I remind me, because I want to give Franz some deserved flowers for that, because that's not always easy to do.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and take that quick break and give those flowers here in just a moment. Let's take a quick break for our conversation with Matt to tell you a quick word about our friends from 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. What I love most is how portable they are. They're like, what, this big, I think? This big? Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get that boost when you need it. We all need that pick-me-up at the end of the day, whether we're outside playing golf on a hot summer day, it's still summer here in Florida, or whether you're just trying to get from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. and finish your workday strong, get that workout in, have the energy to do what you need to finish your day. 5 Hour Energy gives you that kick, and it's sugar-free, so you don't have to worry about crashing later. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in-store and online at www.5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5, hourenergy.com, or on Amazon today. Matt, this is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic. Got to come back from break. Got to do all that stuff. Joined by Matt George of Locked On Kings. Together, we are Locked On Germany, I guess. Since Nick lost Locked On Slovenia, we I guess we'll take on the mantle for Locked On Germany here. Matt, you had something to say about the way Franz kind of defines his stardom.
Yeah, I understand completely if a Magic fans, and even like I would say just the national media conglomerate that is always looking for more, wanting to see kind of that star power out of Franz in terms of, hey, take over. This is your team. Be that guy. Show me what you can be as the number one. I understand that completely, but there's only so many of those players that can do that at a superstar level to where they're not just putting up empty numbers. They're actually hoisting Larry O'Brien trophies, right? Like we're talking about the all-time greats. For me, it is not a negative at all to have somebody like Franz Wagner who can recognize the situation that he's in with Germany, like you talked about. And it's not always easy to go up to Dennis Schroder, who's been like the guy there since Dirk left, and go, hey, like this is my team now. Or go to Paolo Banchero, the number 1 overall pick in Orlando, even if Paolo is younger than Franz or was drafted after Franz, and go, hey, this is my team in Orlando. Get in line. To me, that would be more of a negative than a positive if he were to be that way. But the fact that he can be this impactful and effective when he knows, the opposing teams know, everybody knows that it's not his team necessarily, but he's more than capable of looking like it in the box score on any given night. Like that's such a benefit for the Orlando Magic to have going forward, to where, like, if I look at it the same way that like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum in Boston, right? If the Orlando Magic turn into a potential title contender, and I hope they do, and it's Paolo Banchero that's leading the way, and they're hoisting a title, and he's named the MVP because he was the Jason Tatum for Orlando. But Franz Wagner is the Jaylen Brown who was right there, also averaging around 20 points and was arguably the reason why they won the title in the first place, had more of those big moments during the actual series itself. That's a wonderful problem, I guess, to have. So
more good players is not a bad thing.
Right. 100%. You could always do with more talent, especially when depth is so important in the NBA today. Right. I think Franz Wagner is sensational. And the fact that like any given night, you have to worry about game planning for Paolo, but you always have to keep the corner of your eye on Franz. And we saw in Sacramento, Franz lit the Kings up from three-point range in Sacramento last season.
It's like the only game he did.
Hey,
it's like the only game the Magic did. Like for whatever reason, both games last year between the Magic and the Kings were like, this is like the one night we shot well, guys. We're sorry.
The Kings are the Robitussin of the NBA. If you're not shooting well, come play the Sacramento Kings. You'll turn it around. They don't play any perimeter defense. So
why are you guys all the way on the West Coast? Like come east. No. I think that's really fair to say. And I think what really stands out about Franz is he finds ways to impact the game. Like I would say, like that first half, he had his handprints all over the game. Like he looked like a superstar, was going toe to toe with Alperen Şengün. I know Şengün had the foul trouble in the first half. He looked he looked like he was like, I am going to make sure we're not going to lose this game. Like we're going to win this game. And, I think Magic fans, and frankly, if Germany had lost this game, this probably would have been the narrative we would have been talking about on my show. We probably wouldn't be doing this combined episode if they lost. But I would have probably been talking about like, Germany needed to pass the torch and Dennis Schroder didn't let go of it. This was, they did not get Franz involved enough. And some of that is like Turkey has some sizable defenders. Some of it is they were taking it away from him. Some of it is they had to play small. And so they were, playing Franz at center a little bit more and using him as a screener. And that may have freed some other things up. And so there's just still a little bit of like, Franz needs to be a little bit more like, hey, give me the rock here. It's my turn, especially like in Orlando, he's going to be on the ball a lot more. There's no Dennis Schroder to like say, I'm the point guard. This is the play we're running. It's no, Franz is bringing the ball up this time. It's his show to run. And that's kind of how the Magic are partially going to operate this season. But there's still a little bit of like, Franz, like, there's still a little bit, frankly, like, I don't think Franz realizes how good he is. Like in transition, he is unstoppable and you want to get him out and running as much as possible. And I think he realizes like when he's out on the run, like no one's going to stop him. Everywhere else, I think Franz is still doesn't quite understand how good he is quite yet. And just what he can do and what that means for his team. And look, he's on 2 winning teams right now. Germany is a consistent medal contender in every tournament there, and they expect to win gold every tournament they're in now at this point. The Magic are entering a season where they're expecting to win a playoff series. They've been in the playoffs 2 straight years. He's on winning teams. He's good enough as he is, and it's just everyone's itching for him to just be better and continue to grow and improve.
The last question I have before we wrap up, and this applies to both of our teams, is how do we feel this benefits or hurts in any kind of way these 2 guys and the start of training camp in a couple of weeks? Because there's easily, you could look at the perspective or the side of like, they've been playing all summer. Are they going to be a little bit gassed, a little bit exhausted? I look at it from the perspective of, hey man, they can take these 2 weeks, hopefully get a little bit fresh, hit the ground running. You've already been playing super highly competitive basketball, so you don't have to ease into the season or work the rust off in training camp and beyond. Like I'm looking at Dennis Schroder. I want him to walk into the Kings practice facility on day 1 of training camp and go, yo, you're looking at the EuroBasket MVP and EuroBasket title winner.
He better be wearing that MVP hat at media.
100%. Like, hey, let's go. Like, let's get going right away. Like, that's what I want. I want to see that become leadership. And I'm wondering for Franz Wagner, he walks into Orlando, goes, yo, I just want a title. Like, let's keep this momentum going. I think it could be a really good thing for both these guys.
Yeah. So when Steve Clifford was the coach in Orlando, he was like entering the 2020 season. So Orlando got back to the playoffs in 2019. Evan Fournier went off and played in, I think that was the EuroBasket or the World Cup. It was the World Cup that summer. He played in the World Cup, had the best World Cup he's had for France, the highest scoring average he had for France. And we asked Steve Clifford about it. And he was like, I love it when my guys go play in EuroBasket because they're playing high level games. They're coming to camp in shape. Obviously there's that risk for injury, but there's a risk for injury everywhere. They're training, they're playing pickup games. I'd honestly rather them play high intensity, organized basketball with referees and coaches watching out for them than just playing pickup kind of on their own where there's no control or whatever. And obviously there were some injuries. Bilal Coulibaly is going to miss the start of the season for the Wizards. Bogdanovic suffered a potentially very serious injury for the Clippers. Injuries are part of life. They happen. But they come into the season much sharper and ready to go. I actually do have numbers for you. I pulled this yesterday. Franz Wagner's been to 3 of these tournaments already. He went to EuroBasket in 2022 and averaged 15.4 points per game there. They won the bronze. He came back in the first 20 games of the season. He averaged 19.5 points per game and shot 50% from the floor. That was 18. He scored. That was almost a point per game more than he scored the rest of the season, than he scored for a season average. Same thing happened after the World Cup. He averaged 20.7 points per game in his first 20 games of that season, which was 1 point per game more than he did after the 2020, than he did for the entire season, coming out of the 2023 World Cup. And obviously the same thing happened last year when he kind of had to take control with Paolo out so early. There might be an effect later in the season. You might need to manage some fatigue as you get deeper into the season. But these guys come to camp ready to play. And if you're a team that's looking to get off to a hot start and looking to start, kind of sprinting out of the gate, these guys are ready. They'll take some time to recover, but they're not going to need to find their legs early in training camp. They're not going to need the wind sprints that, I don't even know if teams run wind sprints anymore in training camp because these guys just stay in shape and they're already in the building, like running and working out together already. They're ready to go for the season. And so teams that have a lot of these guys playing in these international tournaments, I think you could find generally throughout the league, they're the ones that start out fast or faster than you expect them to.
Well, man, what a fun way to start our September, huh? First half of September ends with Germany winning the EuroLeague titles, and now we turn our attention to training camp. And I hope those numbers that you read for Franz Wagner, I hope Dennis Schroder can have kind of that same success. The Kings need somebody to help them get off to a hot start because they have a tough schedule right out the gate. But hey, man, that's the NBA. Every game's a big game.
Every game's tough. Yep, absolutely. And as you mentioned, the Magic might be your East team. The Kings are my West team. We want the Sacramento Kings to do well. Light that beam. The Tower Beam Alliance is in full effect. I'll be pushing people to vote for Kings players, and hopefully said now that you got the world versus the U.S. versus the international players, definitely an open door for Sabonis to get in, for Franz to get in. They'll have all-star worthy seasons whether they get in or not. It's just the quirks of the league and however they're going to organize this thing, which we have no clue how they're going to organize this thing. Matt, always great to talk to you, man. Congrats to all of our German listeners who may be listening to our various podcasts. And we'll be keeping an eye on Dennis, as I'm sure you'll be keeping an eye on Franz and Tristan throughout the rest of the season. Hey, man, have a good season this year. Good luck to the Magic, and we'll be on enemies twice a year, but other than that, friends always. Yep. Auf Wiedersehen. I want to thank Matt once again for joining the show, giving us his perspective as he's introduced now to Dennis Schroder. Dennis Schroder signing with the Kings this summer, giving us his thoughts on Franz Wagner and the German basketball team as a whole. He's got some great episodes planned this week as well. He told me, so definitely keep an eye out on him. Going to do some more EuroBasket updates or EuroBasket reviews over there. Again, Locked On Kings. We're all Kings fans here at Locked On Magic. We appreciate the Kings. Great fan base, passionate fan base. Want to see them be successful. Want to see them back in the playoffs this year. Should be a fun season for everybody involved. Hopefully with the Kings and the Magic eager to improve their standing in the league. But that's good, dude, for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the fun places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can find us on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. Now that you're done listening to Locked On Magic, go back and listen to our episodes talking and breaking down the Locked On NBA Top 100, voted on by the NBA hosts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Our Top 100 was formed by experts that cover these teams and players every day. Find the full list on Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss my reaction to the Magic players on this list. It was last week, I believe it was last Tuesday and Wednesday. Last Tuesday, we were with Kuka Heel of Locked On Pistons, talking about Paolo versus Cade. Last Wednesday, I talked about where the Magic are on the list and what that means for the Magic. You can check that out and check out Locked On NBA for the very, very latest on the NBA. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic. This has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.